There was something special about the way men dressed in the 1950s. Even a trip to the corner store called for a pressed shirt, a clean shave, and, of course, a polished pair of shoes. Back then, shoes weren't just footwear, they were a statement. They told you everything about a man, his job, his pride, even his weekend plans. Today, we're lacing up and stepping back into the golden age of men's style. From saddle shoes to crepe soles, these are 10 forgotten shoe styles men wore in the 1950s, and the stories behind them. 1. The saddle shoe, a pop of contrast. If you picture a teenage boy in the 1950s, slick hair, cuffed jeans, and a jukebox nearby, you're probably picturing saddle shoes. These two-tone classics, usually white with a black or brown saddle across the middle, were the very definition of cool. Originally made for golfers, they quickly became the choice of high schoolers and young adults. But as the decade faded and fashion turned sleeker, saddle shoes lost their shine. Still, for many, just one look at those bold stripes brings back the sound of swing bands and the hum of a soda fountain. 2. The crepe sole desert boot, casual with class. Inspired by British soldiers in North Africa, the desert boot was simple: suede uppers, rubber crepe soles, and a relaxed fit. American men loved them for their easy style and comfort. They were perfect for a weekend drive or a stroll down Main Street. But by the 1960s, the polished businessman look pushed casual shoes to the back of the closet. The desert boot would make a few comebacks over the years, but never again with the same quiet confidence it had in the 50s. 3. The white buck, the Southern gentleman's favorite. Made famous by singer Pat Boone and the Ivy League crowd, white bucks were crisp, clean, and full of personality. They were hard to keep spotless, but that was the point. A few scuffs showed character, not carelessness. Their red rubber soles gave them a signature look, and in the summer heat, no shoe looked sharper. But as denim and darker tones took over men's fashion, the white buck faded away, like an old song playing on an AM radio. 4. The mock-toe loafer, work meets weekend. In the post-war years, America's workforce was booming, and so was casual style. The mock-toe loafer, with its stitched front and slip-on ease, was a favorite among men who wanted to relax without losing their polish. They bridged the gap between rugged workwear and smooth sophistication. But by the 1970s, chunkier soles and bolder designs took over, leaving these understated loafers quietly behind. 5. The spectator shoe, the gentleman's two-tone. Before the rock and roll era, the spectator shoe was a mark of high society, usually made of two contrasting leathers, white and brown or white and black. It was the kind of shoe you wore to the races or an outdoor wedding. But the flashy style began to feel too formal for a changing America. As men embraced modern minimalism, the spectator shoe became a relic of another time. Elegant, but out of step with the new age. 6. The crepe sole Oxfords, soft steps and smooth moves. Unlike the stiff dress shoes worn to the office, these Oxfords had soft, spongy soles made of crepe rubber. They were comfortable and surprisingly quiet, perfect for dancing or walking home late from the diner. For a while, they were the go-to choice for young men who wanted a grown-up look without the ache. But as leather soles became the sign of success, crepe soles were quietly pushed aside, only remembered by those who wore them smooth. 7. The woven leather slip-on, breezy and bold. A lesser-known style from the 1950s, woven leather slip-ons were light, breathable, and perfect for warm weather. They gave off a subtle, almost tropical charm, like something a man might wear on a seaside vacation. But they were delicate and hard to make, and as factory production ramped up, these hand-woven designs disappeared. Today, they're a rare sight, a reminder of when craftsmanship meant taking your time. 8. The cap-toe Oxford, business with a smile. Before sneakers filled every closet, Men wore cap-toe Oxfords to work, to church, even to family dinners. The extra piece of leather across the toe gave the shoe structure and style. It said, "I take pride in the way I look." As workplaces grew more casual, the cap-toe became less common outside formal wear. But for anyone who remembers polishing a pair on Sunday night, they'll always symbolize a time when dressing well was just good manners. 9. The cork sole casual. Light as air. Cork soles were something of an experiment in the 50s. Lightweight, comfortable, and surprisingly modern. They gave a natural bounce to each step, and some even claimed they were better for your back. But cork was fragile and didn't last long. When synthetic soles arrived, these innovative shoes were quickly forgotten. Still, for the men who wore them, they were a small taste of the future, one step ahead of their time. 10. The brogue wingtip. The bold and the brave. No list of 1950s shoes would be complete without the brogue wingtip. With its decorative perforations and sweeping W design, it was both sturdy and stylish. Men wore them to weddings, dances, and Sunday bests. As fashion moved toward minimalism, wingtips began to feel too ornate, but they remained one of the most recognizable styles of the era, a symbol of craftsmanship, pride, and that unmistakable 1950s flair. The shoes of the 1950s weren't just leather and laces. They carried stories of hard work, first dances, and Saturday nights under neon lights. Each pair had its place in time, worn proudly by men who believed looking sharp was part of living well. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, give this video a like, share it with someone who remembers those days, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from America's past. Because sometimes, to see how far we've come, you've got to take a step back.